And there's a big story which is coming in. AIIMS Delhi server attack. Look how desperate China has now become. In fact, now FIR details are emerging that the attack had originated from China. That's right. Of the 100 servers, 40 physical and 60 virtual, 5 physical servers were successfully infiltrated by the hackers. In fact, data in the 5 servers have been successfully retrieved now. Let me go across to Bhavtosh Singh, who's joining us, our senior editor. Bhavtosh, there's a Chinese footprint which very clearly is now coming to light. The Chinese hand behind AIIMS server, which made very critical, sensitive data also vulnerable, and many fear could be made public as well, which could belong to not just every citizen of India who may have gone to this premier institute, but also of cabinet ministers were the fears. Let me go across to Bhavtosh. Bhavtosh, what are you picking up?
Meghna, the attack happened on 23rd of November, and it took weeks for various agencies to make sure that the servers are up and running. In fact, for precautionary reasons, the servers were down. And while in fact studying the 2 emails that were infected the AIIMS server, it was found that it originated or it came from China. One of the IP address came from China. Now, a Chinese hacker could have infected the server with the ransomware, and further investigations are on in this case. The Delhi Police's IFSO unit had registered the case under various sections of IPC and IT Act. It has also been said that the person who carried out this ransomware attack had given a threat that they will make the data of various patients, 3 crore to 4 crore, in fact, sell the data in the dark web, and they had in fact had put out a ransom of over 4 to 5 crore rupees and said that this should be paid in Bitcoin. But Delhi Police, through an official statement, had denied this. It was in a very organized manner that this was carried out, and various agencies made sure that something like this should not be repeated again. Now, there are in fact there were some aspects of malfunction that had occurred at the end of AIIMS. AIIMS has been found wanting. They in fact had not updated their software, and also there was some loopholes committed by All India Institute of Medical Sciences. But yes, Chinese were involved, and in fact Times Now had broken that story on 28th of November, when it was found by the computer emergency response that it was Chinese who had carried out this ransomware attack. And it just shows how Chinese in fact have been carrying out these ransomware attacks. Interpol on its part in April 2020 had said that organized crime syndicate would be carrying out these ransomware attack and will try to carry out such attacks on hospitals.
Well, this is what happens when they get thrashed at the borders physically. They resort to these online attacks on India instead to try and weaken the state. In fact, do stay on with us, Bhavtosh. I'll just come back to you. Let me go across to Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, also joining us, Director of Nephron. Now, Dr. Bagai, the other day too, we were discussing cyber security being critical to hospitals in India. What is the role that hospital administrations themselves must play, and how do they gear themselves for future attacks like this? If this attack originated in China, this wouldn't be the first or the last time.
Hi, good afternoon. So I think as the progression of Indian healthcare moves forward, more and more digitalization is taking place and will continue to take place. And when we talk in terms of digitalization, it is what we call as digital smart hospitals. And of course, AIIMS is a flagship institution in our country. In terms of taking precautions, there is what we call as firewall or ring fencing at various levels from the IT departments to safeguard the hacking, what we call as cyber security. So it's not only the patient data, it's the patient information. A lot of it is linked to our Aadhaar cards, our credit card payments, and so on. More sinister is perhaps the plot, because low is never low enough for China to fall to. And I believe that this is something which is originated from there. So I think it's more importantly is to cause disruption of services, cause harm to patient care. I think this is of paramount importance that as a nation we have a policy of cybersecurity which safeguards the hospitals, especially the ones which are smaller, who cannot make that kind of investment for protecting the digital data. But I think this is the need of the hour.
Need of the hour. A quick word from Bhavtosh. Bhavtosh, interestingly, we are juxtaposing the two stories that we've been tracking very closely on Times now. At the borders, we've seen them at Doklam, in Ladakh, the kind of aggression, and now the latest one, flashpoint, of course, has been that of Tawang. They, of course, have been repulsed by our forces, thwarted all the attempted bids of expansionism. Is this why the frustration of China could be visible in these cyber attacks now, when they have defeated or rather failed on the ground?
Yes, Meghna, in fact, this is as serious as the incursion that has happened in Tawang, because this time around there was an attempt made to steal the data of 3 to 4 crores patient at India's most premier hospital, and the data was not only of patients but of other information which have been stored in various servers at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And the one who had carried out this attack had in fact said that he will be selling this data in the dark web. In fact, he had the key of various information that was stored in the servers. It was only by prudence that various agencies worked and made sure that this does not happen. In fact, he had given a deadline of Monday, that's around 29th of November, that he will be selling the data. And that's the reason why various agencies worked overtime to make sure that this is not repeated again.
Well, keep tracking the developments on that front. Thank you so much, Bhavtosh, for getting us that big story. China hand now visible in the AIIMS cyber attack. But with that, let's move on in the bulletin.